hiring process. And I think that is a much more fundamentally important thing that Google did than anything that has to do with food or dry cleaning or, as the guy was talking about this morning, the buses.
Yeah.
By the way, my friends who ride the bus to Google don't think it's all that much fun. It runs twice a day. You got to be there at 7 o'clock. You ride with 30 of your workmates. It's like this is that far between that and prison. So I don't think it's a great idea.
And I guess there's also something to be said for, as you say, getting away from work. If you're always at Google, for example, maybe that's not where your best ideas will happen. Maybe if you're always at the climbing wall or in the gym, maybe that's not necessarily.
I think if you ask most of the people whether they work at Google or Microsoft or Ubisoft, very few would tell you my best ideas happen while at work. I know they asked me and several others this morning this question. I'm not sure anyone has ever answered that yet. I say, oh yeah, I always have my best answers. I always get the answer to the problem. I have that aha moment when I'm sitting in a meeting. I just don't see that as all that likely.
Right. And so then how do you bring the creativity out of employees? So
the first thing I really believe strongly is you start by hiring the right people. You get smart, creative, imaginative people, and there's no substitute. And that's why, like in my talk, I use the example of Kobe Bryant. The guy is an awesome shooter. You could give me all the coaching in the world. You could get me the finest dining. You could get me a bus or a private plane to fly me. I still don't shoot a basketball like Kobe does. And so I think if you don't start with the right raw material, the other stuff is kind of superfluous. So I think that really the fundamental thing is that. The second thing I think you can do, and this is where I do think companies can do stuff to promote it, is you have to value it. People respond to what they believe the company values. And if people value things like risk-taking, and by the way, it's not saying it, it's not putting it on posters in rooms, it's actually living it. And I think the thing is, and you can see how companies play out. If, for example, you have two of you and one of you worked on a project that was a really cutting-edge project but didn't succeed for some reason, and you worked on a much simpler one that succeeded, if what happens next is you're kind of cut out of stuff and you get promoted and you get to work on the cool stuff, that message goes loud and clear to everybody, that it's better to work on less imaginative, innovative stuff, but succeed. And I don't think that's a message that companies intentionally want to send, but I think they do it. So I think you have to reward risk-taking. You have to reward smart failure. It's not jumping out of a building. You don't want to reward failure for failure's sake, but you can reward smart failure. So I think there's many things that companies can do about it.